Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us for the Orbit 3 demo day. Very much appreciated. My name is Harui Ephraim. I'm from the Shanghai team at Orbit Startup, so the flight was long, but very much worth it. Very happy to see all of you guys here today. First things first, we do want to thank our partners at HSBC for letting us use their beautiful location. And if you want some good Instagram photos for your profile, great scene of the Marina Bay Sands over there. Without further ado, I do want to give the mic to Mr. Will to give us a quick little intro about HSBC, what you guys are up to. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, welcome everyone to the event and also to HSBC here in Singapore. To those of you that traveled, I just sit 2 flights of stairs up, so my travel has been pretty uneventful, but very happy to be here. I look after business development for HSBC's commercial bank here in Singapore, which is typically really focused on large multinationals, but increasingly we're trying to focus a lot more on the kind of startup space, what we think of as new economy, and really provide more support to founders and businesses as they scale up. It's probably about 4 months ago that I met Navin, and he first explained the idea around these events that Orbit and SOV run. And I was really keen that we had the opportunity to host and to be a little bit part of this ecosystem and to hear from some of the founders, meet some of the investors and see what small part we can potentially play in helping these companies scale up. So why is HSBC so focused on this space? I think without being too cliche, we really do see that founders and startup businesses are the future. If I look at Singapore, it's 99% of companies here are SMEs. All of those SMEs began as an idea. All of those ideas were taken forward by investors and founders who worked together and were supported by partners. So we see it as fundamental. 2022, last year, we really tried to scale up our efforts in this space. So we put $100 million out the door to early stage names for the very first time, rethought the way we approach credit, started working with investors in a different way and trying to build more of a presence in the ecosystem. So it's an area we're really focused on. We want to be here for the good times as well as the bad times. I think often, banks will talk to startups, talk to founders, and when everything's going brilliantly, it's an easy conversation. When things are struggling and people actually need the money, it becomes a more difficult conversation. So we're really committed, as I said, to this space. We want to be here for through those good times, through those bad times, and really make sure that we're doing all we can to support the ecosystem and to take it forward. So very excited to be here, very happy to be able to host, and looking forward to hearing the pitches and hearing the panel discussions. So thank you very much and look forward to the day.
Thank you so much, Will. So we will next go to our next phase of our event, which would be our panel. So we do like to invite our panelists over and our managing partner, William, to speak about the panel.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for joining. Just love to kick off if you could just briefly introduce yourselves.
Hi everyone, I'm Shannon from MDI Ventures. So MDI is from Indonesia. We started in 2016 as CVC for Telkom Indonesia. So we started with a 100 million fund. That fund's almost fully deployed and was topped up to 500 million. And we also, and that fund moved a little bit later stage, so more to Series C to pre-IPO. But we've also spun out to have more independent funds, which is a seed stage, as well as a Series AB fund. And we're also working on raising an impact fund right now. So we have about 850 million in AUM. And so I guess much like you've seen with a lot of Southeast Asia funds, we've become full lifecycle investors, and we cover pretty much from all the way from angel stage all the way to pre-IPO.
Thanks. Hi everyone. It's really nice to be here. I'm Jugnu from ADB Ventures. We are basically the venture platform of the Asian Development Bank. Started late in 2020 with the idea that we really wanted to do something for the early stage ecosystem here. And the idea was that we really need to have something as a regional fund, hopefully helping climate tech startups scale up and be able to access more markets within Asia. So we largely focus on pre-AA rounds as part of the fund. We invest into companies that are largely looking at expansion into Asian markets, but at the same time, we are a strong believer in tech transfer. So we do invest in companies which are domiciled elsewhere in Europe and US, with the idea that we can, help bring those solutions into Asia. Separately, we manage a seed pool of small checks, but we basically try and ensure that, as she was mentioning, we are playing across the entire capital stack, with ADB obviously looking at much later stage investments and ADB Ventures seeding some of those in the earlier stages.
Yes, thanks so much for the support. I think we worked together on a few companies so far, so look forward to more. Shannon, just kicking off. So we come together usually about every 3 months to introduce some of our portfolio companies that are going out to fundraise. So over the last 3+ months, it's been a pretty exciting time. What are some of the trends that you're seeing? What are some of the changes at the margin over the last few months?
So actually, the last 3 months, I would say, have been a bit slow. There is seasonality also in investing. So I say around Christmas to the Lunar New Year, you see a little bit less. But I think in general, it's also like a function of what kind of fund mandates people have, and it follows fund life cycles to some extent. So if you look like last 2 years, a lot of people raise fintech funds. So I think fintech will still continue to be quite hot just because there's ready capital to be deployed into these spaces. I think we also see a lot of people start looking at things that used to be more traditional that can be digitalized. So agri-tech has been taking off, and recently a lot of people have been looking at climate and sustainability. And I think you see vehicles also starting to raise very specific to those verticals.
Yeah, same here. Although I think we are seeing much more deal flow in terms of possibly getting access to companies with much stronger fundamentals. So I think some of the froth is going out, and we're seeing actually stronger companies emerge over the last 6 months at least. In terms of trends, I think at least there's been an increasing mainstreaming of climate over the last almost 9 months. We're seeing both in terms of new investors as well as capital flow into these markets. We are seeing an expansion in terms of climate sectors to include smart industry, to include carbon management, agri-tech, the built environment as well, climate analytics, beyond the usuals of EV mobility, etc. So I think we are seeing that expansion. And I think while overall, if you look at the capital that's gone into the VC ecosystem, that's been impacted and generally more in later stages than in early stages, we haven't seen that sort of downturn in climate. In fact, it's seen an upward trend. So that's something that we are seeing quite a bit now.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about, so you can touch on it, but sectors that you're interested in. So where are you focused right now? I mean, there's the market, but how about yourself?
Yeah, so for us, previously, we were very focused on B2B services and fintech. We still continue to look at those areas, but I think like following the market, we have started investing quite a bit into agri-tech, just like different verticals within the space, and fisheries also. You know, it's like part seen together.
Yeah, food.
Yeah, and aside from that, of course, like we're also starting to look more. So we're raising an impact fund, so very clearly also starting to look at climate and sustainability. But you know, just in general, thinking about what are traditional industries that could benefit from digitalization, and it's not about having like the best tech in the world. It's more about investing to traditional spaces that could benefit from it. With people who are very good at executing and understanding all the local nuances in order to execute well. Because if you think about it, a company like Gojek started off as a call center. It was like as offline as you can get. And then they moved towards becoming a app for ride hailing, and then now a super app. So it's thinking about, so what are these like Gojeks in the making? And it could come from anywhere.
So given we are largely a climate tech focused fund, it's within those sectors that we are seeing most. So initially our portfolio has been largely skewed towards the EV ecosystem. So both in terms of the OEMs largely on the commercial side, but also in terms of the supporting infrastructure when it comes to battery infrastructure, etc. So that's something that we have seen play out across different markets slightly differently. So there's always this debate going on between whether the battery switching or fast charging is going to be the next thing. But we've seen that play out in different markets and different models quite differently, whether it's India, whether it's China, whether it's Vietnam. I think all markets have seen that play out differently. Agri-tech is an area that we are looking at quite closely at the moment. Smart industries is another area that we are looking at, both in terms of energy efficiency, but also in terms of reducing emissions across different sort of ecosystems. But that's what we are looking at right now.
Yeah, we like boring things that make money. Right?
Yes.
So Shannon, we're going to hear some pitches later, but can you introduce maybe your most recent investment or a recent investment that you're excited about? What's the problem they're solving? How do they solve it? And then why you invested? That would be great.
Sure. So, actually, since we were touching on agritech, we have done like all across like a couple of things in agritech. So we did like Pintic, we did Agriaku. We've done it's like all across. We did like e-fishery. So it actually moves all across, and in all cases, it's say with e-fishery, it's investing in automated feed and also like measuring the conditions, and it's not super high tech. I really don't think it's the best tech in the world. But then when you're in Indonesia, where you're looking at something where there's completely no tech at all, when you put a very simple layer on top, it actually leads to a lot of improvements in efficiency and productivity. So once again, when you look at Indonesia, like I want to say it's like something that's really, really amazing, but it's not. You're just moving from a low bar to 0 to 1 rather than 1 to 100. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's tech-driven transformation, right? Yes. So you're leveraging technology, and you can pretty much easily measure it. I mean, we look at how much money ends up in the pocket of the person at the end of the month. Well, what's the delta? What's the difference? And that can be significant. So yeah, it's not like ChatGPT, but it does change lives.
Yeah, it does change lives. I mean, we were looking like, say, when we were comparing like machines like to what you get in Indonesia, that what was built in Indonesia to like other countries. So we're like, it's good, but it's okay. It's like it's good enough, and there's a real need. Yeah.
So I think, as I was mentioning earlier, very strong believer in tech transfer. So one of the companies that we invested in a short while back was a company called Noventura. It's actually developed the world's first dry air SF6 free switchgear, and not a sexy term when you look at it in terms of an industry. But if you just look at SF6 gas, it's one of the most potent. It's almost 20,000 times more potent than carbon emission. If you look at it in European markets, it's already banned, but it's still there in Asian markets. And it's quite prevalent, almost in 85% of SF6 is used in switchgears in Asia, actually. So basically trying to get that technology into Asian markets, starting with China, with India, with Indonesia. I think those are the markets where we think there's going to be most deployment. It's an asset-light model, can be deployed easily. Obviously, we'll need some customization and local partners to work with. But definitely we see that these technologies, we really need to bring it to the markets where it's needed most. And I think it's a win-win. It works both financially and for the environment as well.
Sounds good. So I really appreciate you sharing. Thank you so much for coming. And that wraps up the panel. So thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Okay. And with that wraps up our VC panel. As we've seen today, it's always good to hear other investment theses from other folks in the market. It's always good to see that sometimes the best investments may not always be the sexiest investments. Is that right? So next, I would like to invite William Baubin again to speak a little bit about Orbit and what we've been up to the last few years. William? Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. So I'm just going to try and give a brief intro. So what is Orbit Startups about? We're taking technology, it might not be the highest tech in the world, we're taking technology to drive transformation, economic transformation, health and climate across emerging and frontier markets. So we are global. We are mostly in what we call mobile first, mobile only markets. This is where people's first experience with the internet or their only experience with the internet is on a mobile phone. Right? In terms of how we're structured, we are a global fund family investing in 3 different verticals. We have Hacks for hardware, IndieBio for biotech, and then Orbit is global internet and software. Total, we have 1.5 billion in assets under management. In terms of our geographic spread, Orbit is primarily focused on Asia. So we're taking what we learned from 20 years of investing in China, and we saw the biggest transformation in the world, over 700 million people out of poverty. Now, the government had a lot to do with that, but it was also tech-driven transformation. So we're trying to bring the models and the expertise of 20 years investing in China to Southeast Asia, to South Asia, to Africa, LATAM, and increasingly the Mideast. So we invest, basically day in, day out. We're early stage focused. So we are the most active early stage VC in the world, and it's spread. Number 5 in Asia, rest of world, and that's primarily Orbit. So where are we in the region? So we're currently the most active venture capital investor in Pakistan. We were 10 in India, but we have 55 portfolio companies in India. So we have quite a big footprint there. We're number 6 in Southeast Asia and number 3 here in Singapore. In terms of sector focused, it's quite broad. So we're the most active investor in the world in climate tech since 2017. We're very, very active in health. And for Orbit, we're also very much focused on food, supply chain, logistics, basically taking technology and transforming small, medium businesses, transforming their business, putting more money in their pocket. So for example, in India, we are digitizing restaurants, cutting out all the middle people, and on average, after a month and a half, they're making 80% more revenue in their pocket, bottom line, 80% more profit in their monthly income. So it might not be fancy tech, but it really drives a huge change for the lives of these small business owners. And we continue to invest sort of quarter in, quarter out. So usually we actually slow down when the market's hot and we speed up when the market's not. So as of Q4, normally we're about number 4 most active VC in the world, but for Q4 we're the most active in the world. Our check size is quite small. It's around about $150,000. Nobody really works with us for the money. They work with us for the program. So we help with growth, or we invest. We help with growth, we mentor, and then we help with fundraising. So we're traction first, fundraising second. That mentorship is really driven not just by us, our team of 40, but we also have 10 EIRs and adjunct partners and a lot of over 550 mentors. We help with 2 things that are not typical for a program. The first is enterprise sales. So we have light relationships with about 230 multinationals. We are most closely engaged with about 42 of them for pilots and POCs, and 27 multinationals invested in our fund. So think about it like a one-stop shop for enterprise sales. We have 9 full-time enterprise salespeople on our team within our VC. The second thing that we help with is, on the consumer side, is customer acquisition. We help our companies partner with our corporates in order to get access to consumers. So our corporate partners get engagement and they get revenue share, and our startups can scale up without having to raise a ton of dilutive capital, right? So the idea here is, how do you scale up without spending a lot? So far, we've invested $60 million since inception. We started in 2010 as this first startup program in all of Asia. Since then, we helped our companies close $716 million in follow-on funding. And what we're really happy with, and this took about 6 or 7 years, is that we've helped our companies scale to 180 million monthly active users. And most of these are with a customer acquisition cost of 0, because we're pairing our startups with corporates. and really trying to drive a win-win-win. The losers are generally big internet. So the idea is to help our corporate partners match with startups and to have a direct relationship, drive a direct relationship between those corporates and consumers. So we couldn't do it without our corporate partners. Here are some of them. Thank you, very much for HSBC. We've partnered for the last 5 years now. And also with HSBC Ventures, who backed 2 of our companies in the last year. In terms of portfolio, we invest in enterprise, basically solutions that use technology to drive efficiency and growth for our corporate partners. And then on the consumer side, we invest in things that are sticky, but don't necessarily make money. So we're one of the most active investors in media in the world. We also invest in things that are not sticky, but do make money, like financial services, e-commerce, travel, health, and education. And our goal is to match those two. Something like a financial service can then get access to our 180 million customers, consumers, and our media companies can actually have a revenue model that makes sense. So just a few companies. So Freed Group is a AI-driven company that gives content to consumers. And these consumers come from telco partners and others. You have content, a call to action for purchasing something, and then an AI-driven chatbot answering any questions and driving to purchase. So Freed Group has scaled up to over 40 million monthly active users, partnering with corporates from, say, China Mobile to other telcos across Southeast Asia that are not yet announced. And it's basically a way for any telco or handset brand or large corporation to turn their customer relationships into an e-commerce revenue stream. So opening up new ways to make money for our corporate partners. They recently closed a Series B. So it's a kind of rare, but profitable. So My Robin is all about the future of work. Now, the problem with all these gig workers or delivery drivers, it's not a very great lifestyle. They don't have and they turn over because they basically don't like driving all that much. So on average, each month, these gig workers like warehouse workers or delivery drivers, right? They're churning 20% on average in a country like Indonesia. So what do? So My Robin hires these sort of gig workers themselves on behalf of companies like the food delivery players. And they give them benefits. For example, they give them wage access, they give them discounted food, and the churn drops in half. Because they're getting not just a job, not just a paycheck, but also benefits. So think about it like a modern day version of a labor union, where they're looking out for the employees, so they don't churn. So My Robin 2 weeks ago was acquired by an Indian company called Better Place, which recently raised $40 million to drive the Southeast Asia expansion of Better Place. And My Robin, they've done quite well. They already created 80,000 jobs. So they have 80,000 people on the payroll in Indonesia. We're looking forward to taking this solution across the region. Last but not least is Octopus. So this is not the highest tech company in the world, but we've basically taken garbage pickers, people who pick recycling out of garbage bins in Indonesia, and digitized them. So we turn the garbage pickers into an Uber. So families sign up, they call the garbage picker to their house, they hand over pre-sorted garbage which the garbage picker then scans, right? And they get paid in points that are worth money. Now the garbage picker, when they go to sell the garbage to the garbage merchant, the rejection rate goes from 48% down to 4% because the family has pre-sorted the recycling. They also make a lot more money for e-waste. So think about it like this. Before, on average, these garbage pickers were working 15 hours a day and making about which is versus the poverty line around maybe $27. Now the garbage picker is making so $15, not a day, a month. Sorry, $15 a month before. Now they're making $300 a month now. The garbage merchants were making $300 before a month. Now they're making $1,200 to $1,600. So it's a sort of a win-win-win. And the great thing is that brands who have made all these pledges that they're going to recycle their packaging or recycle their products, we can now give them data, geotagged pictures of every single piece of packaging, because the garbage picker is scanning everything that they're collecting. So companies like Danone and P&G and Xiaomi are paying for that data. So circular economy having a huge impact, keeping all the bottles and cans and cell phones out of the trash, but also making a huge amount of money. So it's a win-win-win. So with that, I'm going to kick it back to Roy. Thank you very much for coming.
All right. Thank you so much, William. So you've heard a lot about what SOSV Orbit Startup has been doing the last couple of years. I know it's a lot of information to take in. So do feel free to scan the QR codes in your brochures today. Or for those that are tuning in online, visit www.orbitstartups.com to learn more about our portfolio, our fund, and all the magic that's happening at Orbit. That being said, some more magic coming up your way. It is now time to meet our startups. I would like to introduce first AJ from Flock. Give him a hand.
Thanks, man. Meet Rizky from Jakarta, Indonesia. Rizky is a property manager at Greenland Apartments. Greenland Apartments is a mid-sized housing complex with 1,200 residents. As a property manager, Rizky's team needs to send 5,000 bills every month. Keep track of who has paid or who hasn't, and remind each resident individually. Take note of maintenance and facilities issues. Make announcements such as water outage by printing and hand delivering these notices to each of the 1,200 residents. All of this is done manually on pen and paper. There's not only high cost of printing all the receipts and notices, but takes a large headcount to execute. Since there's concentration of work in the beginning of the month, the team is overstaffed to deliver on time and idle for the rest of the time. And worse, there are often errors that leads to loss of income and unsatisfied residents. With Flock, property managers like Rizky can automate most of his team's work, reducing cost, increasing revenue, and making residents more satisfied. Let me show you how it works. Rizky logs into our SaaS platform. You can upload all the residents manually or through an Excel spreadsheet in one click. Sending bills to thousands of residents is super easy. You can bulk upload all the bills in one go. Our property management system automatically reads the fields in the invoice. It creates unique payment links for all the residents and are sent to them via WhatsApp, email, or Flock app. Rizky can stay on top of account receivables and get notified real time when customers make the payment. Our system triggers multiple automated reminders to the resident, and due to this, payments are collected faster. Flock makes a transaction fee when customer makes the payment. Announcements such as water outage can be sent to all the residents in one go instantly, and they receive it through their preferred channel. Issues logged by the resident are sent to Rizky, who can take steps to fix the problem, and a record of this is automatically created. Facilities such as gym, swimming pool, tennis court are all automated. The operators set the schedule, rules, and customers can book them without having to call the front desk. So property managers like Rizky are saving hours of repetitive manual labor, reducing errors from manual process and paper ledgers, thereby providing a better service to its residents. A property like Greenland Apartments, where Rizky works, generates an annual transactional volume of $7.2 million. There are 200,000 such properties across Indonesia. It's one of the largest and fastest growing sectors in the housing market, which is growing at 15% year over year. It's largely driven by an urban population that represents 60% of the population. Property managers choose Flock because we not only lower their costs, but also offer them new revenue streams. I'm AJ. I'm the founder and CEO at Flock. At Microsoft, I had their online Apex sales increase by 3x within a year, and at Simplistic helped the company close $20 million in the first year of sales. My co-founder Harmeet was the CEO at Flock. At Simplistic, he helped grow the consumer electronic product ecosystem from 500 to 50,000 users in 2 years. He also helped an online marketplace increase the revenue by 12x, which was later acquired by a public listed company. In the last 3 months, Flock has processed more than $490,000 in bills across 1,800 residents. We've also increased the resident engagement on our platform 200% quarter over quarter. We're currently live in 10 properties with 152 more pipelined. We've also processed more than $4.4 million in rental value.
Okay, thank you, AJ. So folks, those that are tuning in offline here in person today, in your brochures, you will see a QR code. If you're interested to learn more about AJ and his company, if you feel free to scan that code and learn more about Flock and get a chance to get connected. For those that are tuning in online, you may see a post on your Zoom. There, feel free to indicate your interest and see if you want to get connected with AJ and the team at Flock. Without further ado, our next company, also out of Indonesia, next door neighbor, we have Stefan from Jagaphone.
Yeah.
Meet Andy, a 35-year-old delivery driver for Gojek, who lives in Jakarta, Indonesia. Andy has a family to support, a wife, 2 kids, and his elderly parents. Andy's career as a delivery driver is going nowhere despite his hard work. Why? He doesn't have access to an essential device, a reliable smartphone. He's able to share his location with his customers, track order pickups, and share proof of delivery pictures. He simply cannot afford a new device. It costs more than 2 months of his salary. He got scammed multiple times buying second-hand devices and ended up with poor quality smartphones. This results in lost work and unstable family finances. We are Jagaphone, Indonesia's most trusted marketplace, specializing in second-hand smartphones with stringent quality control. We are building trust in Indonesia's second-hand consumer electronics market. All our devices are extensively tested, 100% functional, and guaranteed. Andy received his latest phone from Jagaphone at a fraction of the price of a new one. He was finally able to qualify for additional delivery platforms to earn more. His income doubled. Jagaphone's ambition is to empower not only Andy, but the 200 million Indonesian smartphone users with high quality, sustainable, and affordable tech products. Let me show you how it works. Andy easily navigates to the site. He searches for exactly what he's looking for: model, color, storage, physical condition. How does Andy know that the quality is reliable? We apply a rigorous quality control process. All the phone features are systematically tested by software, more than 90 tests per phone. The network, Wi-Fi, sensors, all the buttons, the screen, the microphones, the speakers. And for extra peace of mind, Andy can even purchase an extended warranty. Then you just need to fill out his details, the shipping method, and how he wants to pay. Any of the major buy now, pay later platforms, e-wallets, or credit cards. 1 to 3 days later, he received his new phone in a beautiful box, and Jagaphone took a commission of 7% on the transaction. By buying from us, you give a second life to a device and make an impact by reducing electronic waste. Globally, the consumer electronics circular economy is growing at 19% CAGR, and Indonesia is joining that trend. Consumer electronics is a $25 billion market in Indonesia. Growth of the e-commerce category is very strong at 18%. Nearly every Indonesian has a smartphone with 230 million. Second-hand devices is $3.5 billion. We are Jagaphone, Indonesia's most trusted marketplace, specializing in second-hand consumer electronics. From advanced and offer guarantees. Users can also buy a smartphone offline from friends. There's a very limited selection, or from specialized stores. They manually perform basic tests, but they're not reliable. From generalist marketplaces, but they do not perform quality control. And we apply a proven business model pioneered by Back Market, a European unicorn. They incorporated in 2014 and are now worth more than $5 billion. I'm Stéphane Beccard, co-founder and CEO. I'm a serial tech entrepreneur and business angel with 20 plus years of experience. I founded, developed, and sold my first internet venture in Singapore in 2018. From zero, I also built a business in the telecom industry that generated more than $100 million in sales in Asia Pacific. Clients included the Indonesian telcos, such as Indosat, Telkomsel, and PT Telkom. My co-founder, Asoka Botulo, CTO, has more than 12 years of full-stack software development experience. And prior to building the JagoPhone platform, he built an online learning application in collaboration with the Indonesian Ministry of Economy. We also have great advisors, such as Antoine de Carbonel, Chief Commercial Officer of Gojek, and Greg Dumoulin, CEO of a leading European smartphone reconditioning company. We have more than 100,000 monthly active users, more than 50 partners to supply inventory, over $600,000 in cumulative GMV. We crossed $50,000 in monthly GMV, and we've been growing at 25% per month for the past 3 months.
All right, thank you, Stefan. Folks, as I mentioned earlier, if you're interested to learn more about what Stefan and the JagoPhone team is doing in Indonesia, do scan the QR code in your brochures. For those online, we do have a poll up, so do please share your feedback there. Next, we're going to switch it up geographically. Earlier today, I did mention that I had a very long flight to come here from Shanghai, but this is no match for our next founder. Please welcome Franco from Ubanku.
I want you to meet Manuela. Manuela is a 21-year-old university student of psychology in Bogota, Colombia. She comes from a middle-class family and it's a simple student life. But on top of her daily expenses, she has to pay a student loan. She works as a waitress for 20 hours a week to cover her expenses, but she's barely at the end of the month. But she's able to save a little bit of money. It's not too much, just a little bit. She wants her money to grow because her dream is to travel to Europe to make a master's degree. Manuela doesn't know anything about banks, fintechs, or investments. She searches on Google and she sees too many options, and some of them even look sketchy. Manuela doesn't want to trust her savings into something she doesn't understand. So she gets overwhelmed, gives up, and goes back living month to month, thinking she will never be able to fulfill her dream. Until one day a friend tells her about this app. We are Ubanku. We are a youth neobank focused in the young people of Latin America, giving them access to a complete ecosystem of financial services, starting with a simple way to save and invest their savings. Let me show you how it works. Manuela creates her account and types in a very important question for us. What is your current dream? She types in take a trip to Europe for her master's degree and the amount of time she will take to complete her dream. Just like that, her financial journey is started and she is ready to see different possibilities in her app. She can save more with different commerces that give her up to 15% cashback for each transaction that she makes. Manuela can invest that cashback in 3 simple to understand options that have different levels of risk. If she wants to reach her dream faster, she's able to invest more money in our current monthly payment. And just like that, starting with $3 a month, she's able to be in the investment world. The whole experience could be free for Manuela if she decides to buy her dream in the associated brands that we have in our platform. It's important to say that Manuela can withdraw her money anytime, even the investment money. But we're going to charge her a 2% commission fee if that withdraws in cash, in bank accounts, or in our digital wallets. We also have a 17% financial intermediation margin and a 7% commission fee from the marketplace, making it a circular economy around the young. But it's important and it's a big opportunity because in the Spanish-speaking countries of Latin America, there are more than 100 million people between 18 to 24 years old that are about to face their first economic crisis. And the young people want to manage their money with their own rules. And this is a $52 billion economy that is growing year by year. And just like Manuela, there are more than 11 million university students in Colombia, Mexico, Chile, and Peru, tackling an economy of more than $360 each year. And it is important to say this because traditional banks earn for a lifetime value of 20 years, and they still have with the realities of the young, and the young find it very hard to grasp. And there are other companies and neobanks such as SoFi that don't know how to scale to emerging markets. And we believe that the starting point are not credit products. So that's why we're building a neobank that is able to scale to emerging markets. We legally connect with allies that help us build the product, tokenize it, and build a tailor-made experience that reduces friction for the young. And the most important thing is that we use data to make a simple KYC process powered by university institutions so that the experience is more flawless for the young. And we have a very interesting team of more than 20 people, very diverse and different backgrounds. Starting with me, I'm Franco. I'm co-founder and COO. I built the first dark kitchens in Colombia, leveraged by Rappi, the Colombian unicorn, with more than 10,000 monthly orders in 7 different locations, having less than 18 minutes delivery time. And I sold the product before the pandemic. I used to have a marketing agency where I reached 14 countries in 9 months, having more than 60 million views each month. I'm joined by Andy, co-founder and CEO. He's very passionate about working with the young and helping them to fulfill their dreams. He recruited and mobilized more than 6,000 volunteers, connecting these young people with relevant NGOs in Latin America. He also worked with Rappi, this time allocated more than 30,000 debit cards in less than 2 months. And he's also an XY Combinator founder. And recently, Diego Tovar joined us. He joined us last year. He's co-founder and chief banking officer. He used to be partner for Deloitte in Latin America, but he was the former CEO of Everis. It's a multinational consulting firm where he reached more than 800% annual growth of EBITDA for 4 consecutive years. And he was the former VP of a relevant bank called Banco Caja Social in Colombia, where he ran a digital transformation project that financially included more than 1.2 million people. And we are backed up by relevant investors from our continent in Latin America. We're going to launch our product in March 20. But we have been in a pilot phase with very interesting and relevant results, showing us a clear path towards profitability and helping us clear out what's the best way to complete our product. So it is very sexy because our CAC is 30 cents of a dollar. This is 100 times lower than traditional banks. And the most important thing is that it's powered by young people.
Thank you, Franco. So folks, as another reminder, if you're interested in learning more about what Franco and his team are up to, do scan the QR code in your brochures. And for those that are tuning in online, remember to also respond on the poll to let us know if you want to get connected to Franco and his team doing amazing things in Colombia. With that being said, we're also switching geographies once more. I would like to invite Nash from Infinite Up. Give him a hand.
Welcome to Nairobi, Kenya. Meet Kevin Karaoke. Kevin Karaoke, like most 22-year-old students across Africa, is broke. But being broke in Africa is different than being broke in the West. Every night, Kevin is up with the same thought. Is today going to be the day that he runs out of money? Will he be able to pay for his niece's school, or will she be kicked out? Is he going to be able, he's hungry, but the coins in his pocket are for his transportation tomorrow. He'd love to borrow money from friends and family, but they're just in as much financial distress as he is. Unfortunately, it's a very common occurrence in sub-Saharan Africa to have financial distress. People are aspiring for the middle class, but economic opportunity is still rare. For the 57% of Africans like Kevin who are unbanked, this means that they have no access to credit, no bank history, no credit score, and no access to formal financial services. And what it means is that every time Kevin runs out of money, he has to borrow from friends and family in a complicated weave of borrowing that often goes unpaid, or he's got to go on credit if he wants to even buy milk from the store. Introducing Infinite Up. Infinite Up is personal financial technology software for the 430 million African smartphone users. What we do is we keep track of all of the different debts held between each other, and we've gamified financial mindfulness to increase people's money in their pocket. Let me show you how it works. So Kevin goes to his local store that offers him credit with no money in his pocket. The manager of the store wants him to use the Infinite Up app to keep himself organized, also manage the headache of asking for payment. Kevin quickly pairs to the debt and sees that there's more features in the app. He's able to begin keeping track of every one of his transactions. Soon, he's on a 70-day streak of entering every transaction he has. And he sees that there's additional services that are coming that he's excited by. Things like access to person-to-person loans in his network, and credit scoring, and making transactions directly through the app. The African middle class has tripled over the last 30 years to 313 million Africans, and they now today have close to $2 trillion of purchasing power, and they're hungry to actually use their money on consumer goods. However, remember that 57% of Africans have no bank accounts, and even worse, 90% of Africans have no access to credit. What Infinite Up is doing is we're targeting the blue ocean personal financial technology sector in Africa. We're influenced by the explosion of peer-to-peer lending in China in the early 2000s to show the market opportunity and size, but we're actually using our V1 being based on Splitwise. Splitwise is an American financial firm that focuses on keeping track of loans between people. Its business model is focused on premium services like reporting and multiple currencies. Its last raise was $20 million and a new $90,000 of revenue a month. However, Splitwise is in the crowded American technology ecosystem, owning a narrow vertical, where Infinite Up, on the other hand, is using the Splitwise business model as a first step to get people through the door in a way that can allow us to follow the proven roadmap shown in India, in China, and Southeast Asia with an African twist as we can release more services to our user base. Of course, releasing technology in Africa is challenging, but I've done this before. My last SOSV-backed startup, Safe Motos, was SOSV's first investment into the African continent. We were one of the biggest stars in Africa, doing 6,000 trips on our Uber for motorcycle taxis between the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda. And Infinite Up incorporates all of my 15 years in Africa lessons learned. The Infinite Up team of Malaz, Wasim, Hiba, Kevin, Anna, and myself have adopted next-generation no-code techniques to rapidly iterate, prototype, and drop product into the African market in real time. Over the last year, we've had 7 complete different apps, go into 5 different geographies, had 12,000 different African test users, using lean startup methodology to make sure that we're focusing on learnings before growth. Why I'm here in front of you today is because we're at a convergence in our data. Africans are asking for an app like Infinite Up. There is a consistent reflected pain point on people's challenges with finance. And before you can start making money, you need to be responsible with your money. You've got to make sure the bucket isn't leaking water before you put into it. Right now, what we're doing is we're doing testing in Nairobi with UX testing. We're just putting the app in tons of people's hands, watching it, and trying to make the app just as tight as possible in retention and in virality.
So as Nash said himself, if you do want to follow the Infinite Up journey, definitely do scan the QR code you have in the brochures to learn more about what him and his team are up to. For those that are online, if you're interested in fintech in the African continent, do give us a response on the poll accordingly. So next, I would like to invite Musabir from Ostad. Give him a hand, please.
Meet Rakib. Rakib lives in a rural area in Bangladesh. He graduated from a local college 1 year ago, but after graduation, he cannot find a job because Bangladesh academic curriculum is outdated. It fails to provide Rakib the skills the market demands. And Rakib becomes frustrated as his parents was counting on him to support the family after they spent all their savings on his education. And after being rejected by 20 companies because of lacking in-demand skills, Rakib was determined to upgrade his practical job skill. So he starts exploring courses from popular online education platforms like 10-Minute School, Bohubrihi, Udemy, Coursera. But content from the global players is not relevant to the reality in the needs of Bangladesh. And local players provide boring pre-recorded courses with no interaction with the instructor. And without interaction, Rakib fails to solve his problem and cannot grasp the fundamental skill of the courses. As a result, he loses motivation and drops out from most of the courses. Even though he finishes a few courses, it's still hard for him to find a job because those online education platforms don't provide any job placement opportunities. So after a whole 1 year of journey, Rakib remains unemployed. But thankfully, Rakib finds Ostad. Ostad is a live streaming education platform for job seekers in Bangladesh. We provide online live training for in-demand job skill. We collaborate top industry practitioners as our course instructor. And additionally, we provide job opportunities to the Ostad graduate by partnering with industry leading companies. Let me show how it works. Rakib sets his career goal on the Ostad website and explore all the in-demand live courses to meet his objective. After deciding which skill he needs to develop, he will explore all the details of the courses he will need to take. After paying a tuition fee, Rakib can officially join in that course's live batch. After enrolling, Rakib finds multiple task-based modules. In each module, there are 3 types of activities he has to make within the deadline to unlock the next module. So Rakib starts the journey by joining the live class from Ostad website. He interacts with the top industry practitioners. After each class, he attends quizzes, live tests, and submits assignments and projects, and finally gets an evaluation and completes one module. If Rakib gets 70% marks on all the modules, his profile will automatically be included in our talent pool section, where he can showcase his skill set, education background, and work experience. Our partner companies can find him based on the skills they are looking for and can set up an interview call in our platform. And this is real life Rakib with me. He graduated from our data science batch 8. He was recruited as a junior data analyst 2 months after completing our program in one of our partner companies named Dream71 Limited, a renowned software firm in Bangladesh. He came to our office to thank me after getting his first salary. There are 13.8 million unemployed people in Bangladesh, and 46% of them are university graduates. In Bangladesh, the upskilling and reskilling market is on track to be valued $800 million by 2025. As we are a live streaming education platform and we are developing live learning curriculum, our solution can be penetrate in any market, and I look forward to take over the similar kind of market like Southeast Asia, which is to be valued $4 billion. There are so many online education platforms both in Bangladesh and in globally, but most of them are boring pre-recorded content based platforms with very low completion rate. We focus on learn by doing approach, not just learn by watching video approach like other players. To increase the engagement in the online courses, we use a day-to-day task-based curriculum for each skills. We make sure every Ostad graduate get a job in our partner companies. So this live learning approach and job placement opportunities are taking Ostad ahead from its competitors. I am Musabbir. I am the founder and CEO at Ostad. I am a mechanical engineer and previously worked at Caterpillar Bangladesh for 3 years and achieved a milestone of $1 million sales in just 1 year. I was the youngest team leader in the history of Caterpillar Bangladesh to lead a team of 40 engineers. With me, I have 4 other co-founders. All of them are engineers. Saurabh, our COO, previously mentored 10,000 plus students in Bangladesh, one of the largest coaching center, and worked with Bangladesh government to develop curriculum for upskilling 100,000 people. Mubin, our CTO, a software engineer, previously worked as a CTO in Bangladesh first photo framing app. Mridul, our head of sales, previously worked as a sales manager in Bangladesh, one of the largest FMCG. Fahim, our head of biz dev, previously worked as a B2B sales manager at Caterpillar Bangladesh. Combinedly, we have 15 years of work experience in sales, business development, and technology. And with this experience, we are partnered with 128 companies for our course curriculum design and job placement opportunities. And these 742 Ostad graduates have been hired by our partnered companies from our platform. Not only that, out of 7,000 Ostad graduates, 56% have already improved their standard of living as a result of their income. And our students love our product. We have 90% course completion rate, 3 times the EdTech average of 30%. In the last 6 months, we have maintained a strong average month-on-month growth rate, and that is 15% month-on-month growth in paid customer, 20% month-on-month in terms of revenue. We are now making $30,000 revenue per month.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Beer. So by this point, I'm sure everyone here knows the drill. If you're interested, definitely scan the QR code, let them know what your thoughts are. For those that are online, do please give us a shout on the Zoom. And without further ado, our last startup of the afternoon. So thank you all so much for sticking around so long. We have Mustafa from Easy Fresh.
Thank you, Eli. This is Asad, a potato farmer in a small village in Pakistan. He has a large family to feed. He works hard in Pakistan's summer heat to plant, to take care of, and to harvest his potatoes. And after toiling for 4 months, he has to beg this commission-seeking middleman to help sell his produce. Because Asad has no resources to build direct sales channels. The middleman decides if Asad can sell in the marketplace or not. And Asad has to accept whatever rate the middleman sets that day. Because fresh produce is like a time bomb. You don't sell today, you lose value the next day. The middleman rips 20% out of Asad's earnings, leaving him and his family in a perpetual cycle of poverty and dependence. We are Easy Fresh, the digital food supply chain platform connecting farmers, Pakistani farmers, with global markets. Farmers like Asad can sell directly to us without paying any commission. Additionally, we leverage technology to provide guidance to farmers to help them improve their yields. Let me show you how it works. So a farmer reaches out to us through WhatsApp. Our AI-powered chatbot begins a conversation with him in local language text and voice notes. The farmer just shares his crop name and field location, and our engine analyzes the field using satellite imagery and sends him reports about his crop health in voice notes and graphics. So every week he receives reports regarding how much water is required in a particular area of the field, or how much fertilizer is required in any field, or if there's an imminent threat of pest attack. And when a field of high quality produce is ready, Easy Fresh sends a suggested price to the farmer. So the farmer can sell his produce even before he has harvested it. If the farmer agrees, the sale is done and we make the payment. With data from so many farmers, Easy Fresh starts using prediction models to identify fields that will do very well in the coming season. With those insights, we buy only the best fresh produce, thus eliminating wastage and losses in our supply chain. And because we use satellite imagery, we can identify good farms over a very large area instantly, and even outside Pakistan now. Farmers are increasing their yields while EasyFresh is able to identify the right farms to buy from. We make money by selling the produce in multiple markets inside Pakistan and outside. So the farmer, he's increasing his output and he's paying no commissions at all. He ends up earning 30% more when working EasyFresh. Agriculture is a $20 billion sector in Pakistan. It's driven forward by 8 million smallholder farmers. Unfortunately, because of a lack of guidance and technology in the sector, Pakistani farmers have one of the lowest yields in the world. EasyFresh leverages technology to identify the right farms and also to guide farmers to improve their yields. Other players in this space, particularly traditional middlemen, they focus primarily on cheaper produce and hence overlook and have zero visibility on quality. Also, because EasyFresh has access to multiple markets directly, it does not charge any commission to the farmers. We're an experienced team of seasoned entrepreneurs and startup veterans. I'm Mustafa. I'm the co-founder looking after product and growth. I used to work for Procter & Gamble, and I have also worked for Pakistan's largest telecom operator, where I launched mobile broadband and scaled it to 10 million subscribers in the first year. EasyFresh is my second startup. Faisal is the co-founder and CEO. He was an early employee at Careem, where he scaled it in multiple cities before it was acquired by Uber. Faisal also set up Careem's delivery vertical, which he scaled, and that alone was valued at over $100 million. Faisal has worked for Procter & Gamble and Etihad Airways as well. Asim looks after technology and is our co-founder. Asim has a wealth of experience in the tech industry. Asim has hired and led very large engineering teams of over 100 employees for multiple companies, including Pakistan's first unicorn startup. Asim has also built the 3D imaging tools that are used by geoscientists across the world to identify the right spot to dig an oil well in. And Saqib is the co-founder looking after operations. Saqib used to set up manufacturing facilities and run them for Procter & Gamble in multiple countries. He's also set up their largest manufacturing facility in Southeast Asia, which cost over $100 million. So in the last 1 year, we've moved over $3 million worth of fresh produce from farms to markets. Next month, we're on course to be a fully profitable company. Last month, in January, we sold over $230,000 worth of fresh produce in Pakistan and Dubai. Best of all, we're growing 20% month on month.
Thank you, Mustafa. So this wraps up our demo day pitch sessions. At first, I do want to give a shout out to the folks online. Thank you so much for sticking around with us, even though there were a couple audio issues. I'm sure a lot of you guys here offline have been seeing the chirps on Zoom. But worry not. We will have recordings available for all these pitches, in addition to investment materials such as pitch decks and things of that nature as well. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and let's chat and have fun. Thank you.